episode 34 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast, your weekly show where we bring you all the Stadia news and gaming topics to discuss from the week in gaming. I'm joined, as usual, by my co-hosts in the cubes. To my right, your left, I'll never get this right, I've got Mr. Tom, our techie teacher himself, one day. And below him, we've got the man of many pixels, Mr. Richie, join us as well.
You know what you need to do? You need to kind of print off a sheet and just put it on the wall so you can see how we always look.
The thing is, I know what it is. I know Tom's to my right on the video because I know I have to point to this wall to get it. And I know you're directly below him. So it's not that hard, but then I immediately, as soon as I say right, my brain goes, but it's left on the YouTube video. And then it's like, and then it just doesn't at all. Anyway, welcome to you, gentlemen. My name's Chris. I'm one of your hosts as well. You've joined us in another busy week of gaming in Stadia, and we'll get into all that to start off with. But I wanted to start the show a little bit differently this week, gentlemen, because we've got a few more weeks. We've been in our cubes for a little bit longer. We've all been ticking over quite nicely. I just want to know what you've both been playing. Simple as that.
Okay,
let's talk about. I'll throw it out to Tom first. Let us know what you've been messing around with.
Mostly on Stadia, obviously. Putting a lot of time into Stadia at the moment. I've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey to such an extent where I feel like I'm making absolutely zero progress with the story, but I'm getting closer and closer to max level. I know the max level has been extended, but I am getting close to that original level 50 point, and I just feel like I'm spending so much time doing side quests and like hunting cultists and trying to work my way up the mercenary tree that I'm just like, I'm putting everything else. Like, who cares about finding your mum? Who cares about finding like your sister and stuff like that, or whoever it is, right?
It's a classic game trope, isn't it? Where they go, "Oh, quick! There's a really urgent mission. I'm just going to spend 20 hours doing side missions," and then I get back and I'm like, quick, I'm so glad you got here. And it's like, I've been on like a 3-week vacation in between this.
Someone's trying to kill your family.
The worst game I've ever played for that was Fallout 4. Because like, you need to go find your son. Or you could join the Minutemen and just consume all your time.
Yeah, case in point is like, somebody's like threatening my family right now and they're like literally going to murder them. But I'm going to go find an eyeball that was shoved up some goat's ass back on the first island.
Priorities, right? Priorities.
Yeah.
We've all got them. How about you, Richard? What have you been playing?
I've played a bit of Football Manager, but recently I have been playing Assassin's Creed. I said I'd give it another go when it went on sale. And I'm over 40 hours in, and I've very much changed my opinions on that game compared to where I was before. One thing I have had to do is there's procedurally generated quests that you can get. Just completely ignore them. They're a complete, utter waste of time. And I think this is where I got soured on before, because I got bogged down trying to clear off these just procedurally generated quests, which were very much meh. There's nothing to them.
That's one of the elements that's got me really excited for Valhalla, how the Ubisoft have addressed that. They said that all the extra filler and the fluff that was a criticism of parts of Odyssey, they said it's a much more condensed story in a smaller map, so I'm looking forward to seeing the best bits thrive.
I just don't think them procedurally generated quests, the ones that you get from like, I think it's the Apollo statues or your ship, they're just not needed at all. There's enough content in that game without them that like I'm about 45 hours in, and about level 35. I'm a bit further than you, Tom, in the story. We were just talking before we start recording, but I just don't see the point in them at all.
It's a nice little boost for your drachmi.
Speaking of that drachmi, the value for money with that game. You guys both picked up in the sale, right? £18.
Yeah,
Richie, you got as well. Yeah, it's like value for money. Like I've said it on the show before, but I put 120-30 hours into that with the DLC, and like if you're talking like pounds for pence and stuff, that's fantastic. It's such a good game, so deep.
I'm going to be such a nerd here. I actually did the maths. At the moment, for the Ultimate Edition, you're paying 20p an hour of gameplay. 20p an hour. That's a steal.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
That's less than a Freddo.
Exactly.
Think of
the level of satisfaction you're getting.
Are you just using, what value are you using for time? Are you using to calculate that? Are you using time to roll credits or to cut 100% or with DLC?
What does the 120 hours include? That's probably everything, right, in the base game?
For me, that was the base game and the Atlantis DLC, about 120 hours.
Yeah, so on that basis, then literally the amount of content that exists divided by the cost.
I'm probably going to break that because I know in comparison to you, Chris, I actually takes me longer to get through games.
I'm
I've always noticed that you get through games. We'll start games at the same time, and you finish them well before me.
I play well into the early hours and commit. I don't know. Maybe I'm just more meticulous with it all. But in terms of it, I'm so like you two talking about it again and all the Valhalla stuff. It's got me like it's still on sale till the 20th, so I've got 3 days to make a decision. Do I bite the bullet and jump back in, or do I just hang fire on Valhalla? Because the thing with Ubisoft is they bring out like remasters and stuff all the time, and I'm thinking some of the news we're going to get to in a moment. Is something going to drop in between now and Valhalla that actually makes me think, I could have just played that instead. Like if they drop Origins, for example, I'd probably be more tempted to go back and start with Origins because this is like the trilogy of games: Origins, Odyssey, and then Valhalla is like their new reboot of the genre, essentially.
Yeah, I like Origins as well.
It's exciting stuff. But we'll detour back towards the show in itself, gentlemen. So we've got a little bit of housekeeping just to kickstart the episode off. And best thing I want to point out was me and Richie played some more PUBG yesterday, Saturday, for those of you who are listening to the podcast throughout the week. You can go back and check that out. We were once again joined by Tommy from Stadia Arcadia as part of our squad in practice and training in preparation for the upcoming Content Creators Cup. Did we win another chicken dinner, Richie?
You'll have to tune in and find out.
You'll have to tune in to find out. But I think we might as well take this opportunity. Tom, would you like to give a bit more info, detail, any updates we've got for the upcoming Content Creators Cup? Because it's less than 2 weeks away now.
It is.
People are getting curious.
Ooh, definitely. So May 30th, starting at 10 p.m. UK time. That is Saturday, May 30th at 10 p.m. Make sure you do come along to youtube.com/Sounds of Stadia, where we will be hosting our viewpoint and our audio for the Stadia Creators Cup, the Content Creators Cup, where we will be playing as a team of 4 against other content creators throughout the Stadia community. There will be a tournament based on pre-made teams, which will consist of ourselves. There will be a tournament based on lottery-drawn teams, where people will be shuffled into random teams and just have a bit of fun with that. And I'm even thinking, if we have the time to do it, we're also going to have a solo tournament as well, where everybody goes mano y mano for the ultimate prize of being that chicken dinny at the top, right at the tippy top of the Stadia Creators community.
I'm going to be the first out in that one.
Have some confidence, Richie. Have some confidence. I've seen your playing skills.
You've seen me parachute into the side of a building before.
That is very true. I have seen that as well.
We've all been there. But yes, I would say keep your eyes peeled on our Twitter account, which is at Sounds of Stadia. And obviously subscribe to the channel so you get your notifications over on YouTube. No doubt we will have all the content creators probably promoting this event over the next coming days and weeks as we lead into May the 30th. So keep it locked, stay tuned. And we've got some exciting competitive gameplay from our community going on live. Speaking of community, that also brings us over to our continued Facebook partnership with the Google Stadia UK group. If you are new to Stadia or you're new to the podcast even, welcome. Thanks for checking us out. Don't forget to click that subscribe button down below and keep yourself tied in with all of our news and information. Our Facebook partnership group, fantastic community already. We've mentioned it before. They're a lovely, friendly group of chaps from the United Kingdom. And they just share basically an appreciation and a bit of fun for all things Stadia and gaming. It's not necessarily specific to Stadia. They're just general. I think today they were talking about PlayStation 5 news as well.
It's just a very open.
It's a very open community as well. So check that out. It's our facebook.com/groups/Google Stadia UK group. Obviously, if you're not from the UK and you just enjoy our witty banter, by all means, you're still welcome. It's not exclusive to people from this country. Join us if you wish. But gentlemen, we've got another good shout out. We've got another Patreon supporter. It just keeps going up and up. We're joined by Luke this week, has jumped in and subscribed on one of our tiers. Remember, if you do want to write in with your questions every week for the show, and we'll read them out, we'll discuss them, or even just your thoughts, head over to patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia, and for as little as 78 pence, you can send us in your questions, join us in private community chats, join us for some gameplay, but more importantly, just help us survive in the times we're going through now. We always appreciate it. If not, though, don't worry, we will still bring you everything through free feeds eventually. Looks good, gents. Looks good. I'm having fun. We're growing steadily as a community. And thank you very much for everyone out there who's tuning in and listening on across all platforms. We do appreciate any time that you can give to us. Yeah. Richard, I'm passing it over to you for Richie's Retcon ritual this week. What have we got? What did we fuck up with in the last 7 days?
Okay. Last week we were talking about dick sliders. So that
were we?
And we said, like, in reference to Cyberpunk 2077, and the conversation was around, has this kind of happened before in games? And turns out it has. Joker and Mr. G from the Google Stadia UK Facebook group that you've just plugged, they pointed out to us that a couple of games that have had like modifiable penises.
Peni,
yeah. Conan Exiles, Mount Your Friends, 2 examples to drop. So yeah, there is dick sliders in other games.
Who'd have knew that in the history of gaming there've not been other games that have allowed you to edit the genital area? But the Mount Your Friends one in particular is quite funny. Yeah. It's where you're essentially
swing around.
Yeah, and you have to build like the highest tower you can possibly get in a short time frame with your friends, couch co-op style, and it's just weird fun. Conan, I've never played before. I feel like it's been free or really cheap across multiple digital stores. It reminded me a lot of Ark Survival Evolved. I don't know if it's the same people, but I know it's got quite a niche little like a cult following almost. You start off with nothing, pretty much like Minecraft, and you have to destroy and build and create and stuff until you're a formidable foe for everyone out there in the wild.
It was one of the free PS Plus games a while ago.
Yeah. Oh, that might have been it. That's why I own it then. So yes, thank you to Joker and Mr. G for writing in, and for Richie for keeping us straight when we mess up. If we do mess up, write us in, let us know in the comments. We are only human. We do our utmost best to keep the integrity of our information correct, but everyone messes up sometimes. So thanks for writing in for that. Which brings us to, as always, our biggest topic of the show, our biggest collection of topics. And we'll pass it over to our maestro to lead us into that segment.
The super sexy special Stadia story segment, aka The News!
The News! The News! The News! Oh, I don't like that. That was a creepy whisper.
It's just like a little whisper in the back of your head there.
Yeah, give me chills. Chills down the back. Busy week as ever, gentlemen. I don't think we've actually had a quiet week since Stadia launch now. I think the gaming market in general, the industry, is not slowing down. If anything, it feels like it's ramping up. I feel like I can't open my Twitter feed or my Facebook feed without being hit by some kind of new digital announcement, some new game drop, some sneaky suspicions, DLC, lawsuits. There's always something going on in the world of games, right?
The way Stadia drops its announcements as well is not exactly kind to content developers, because suddenly I got the big quiet. Here's 8 things that you weren't expecting.
Yeah. You just have a quick glance at it, and there's surprise announcements. And thankfully, our community keeps us quite clued in with that. Stadia Source in particular, Dan and the team over there do a fantastic job of getting the news the second it drops, and they have a headline article up and then usually flesh it out as time rolls on. The biggest news, in my opinion, we got this week isn't necessarily specific to Stadia, but obviously it's going to pretty much be the bedrock for a lot of games going into next gen and 2021 and beyond. But Epic, the mega rich corporation behind the ever successful Fortnite, dropped a trailer this week for their Unreal Engine. Well, I say it's a trailer. It wasn't really. They classed it as a playable demo, which we're not going to be able to play, but it was playable. And they did showcase the power that the PlayStation 5 essentially can muster, which in parallels also equates to obviously the Xbox Series X coming out, and inevitably it's going to be Stadia. Unreal, I think, runs a couple of games already on Stadia, so no doubt over time. And it's a very open platform. So did you guys both have a chance to check out it was about an 18-minute long video, I think, which showcased, like, it blew me away in comparison to the Xbox kind of showcase of third-party titles we discussed last week. I think this is the way to announce next gen, with lots of triangles, all the triangles in the world. We joked yesterday, Richie, on the live stream. There's actually a shortage of triangles in the world right now because of how many go into running Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah, the manufacturers of triangles are now working double time to catch up.
Yeah, they've had to get everyone back from furlough, and they've got them all grafting away, cutting them precious triangles. But to break it down a bit more, I think probably, Tom, you're the best one to highlight some of the details. I know they mentioned things like lumens and nanites. Are you able to expand on this video?
I mean, they're just key terms that they're using to describe certain processes that are happening within the engine. You know, lumens is obviously talking about the way that they're setting up light in video games and the way that you can have dynamic lighting. You saw it from the tech demo yourself that they could have things like the lighting is positioned, and rather than having it pre-rendered, they can have like part of a scenery falls away and the light is already there and it just shines through. So the light is just constantly active and can move around and so on without obviously, like if you think about, in order to save things like memory, CPU usage and so on previous gen consoles, you have to sort of like trick the system a little bit. You have to hide the lighting in certain areas because there's no point generating light on the top of a cave for any reason whatsoever if you're not going to be able to see it. But if the roof of that cave collapses in, you want the light to be present, ready to actually show it. So Lumen was just showing the system of how that can be dynamically, adapted depending on the scenery, but also how it also actually reacts to the other part of that, which was the nanites, which is talking about those triangles. And the triangles in particular are a huge step forward, because previously what you're talking about when you look graphically at games is like the number of pixels represented and so on. But the idea is that we're moving away from pixels now. We're moving to using triangles to represent edges of objects. So if you picked up a stone, just a stone, and you made it up of loads of different little triangles, what they're basically just saying now is that with the new engine, with Unreal Engine 5, they've essentially just massively increased the ability of being able to generate those triangles. So rather than having larger, more polygon-based, if you think back to original gen PlayStation, you're now getting those triangles down to such a small size that they can make such fine edges on objects. And we saw that in the beautiful like cave scenery as we were walking through the rocks in that. I mean, I've never been so bloody excited about rocks in my life.
It's absolutely magnificent. Like, I'm watching it now as we're talking, and just seeing the character climb up the cliff, and just like the lighting, the shadows, the quality of the textures is phenomenal.
I think there's something to be said about the light and the shadows. Definitely.
Yeah. It's an amazing. It's a great choice for showing off like the detail, like you said, Tom, the excitement of rocks. Just even looking at some of the static screenshots the pulled straight from it, it's so photorealistic. It's unbelievable. And when you discuss there about all the polygons and stuff, it does hark back to like PlayStation 1 era, early. So it's not first generation, but like the switch over to 3D and the dynamics. And that actually reminded me, there's a great video out there on YouTube of one of the creators of the original Crash Bandicoot game, and they talk about how they had to trick the PlayStation's memory and the inner CPU to be fooled into rendering certain elements of the game. And the reason Crash Bandicoot looks so detailed in comparison to other games at the time was they tricked the system into render the whole level into block sections. So it would actually boot up the whole level, but it wouldn't render them, or it wouldn't generate them in real time until you, say, passed a certain corner of the level, or you went over a ridge. So like you were saying there, the light doesn't need to be present until it's required. And this is just that on goddamn steroids. It's just amped up to the max.
The technique you're talking about
blows you away.
Yeah, the technique you're talking about there is used quite a lot. It's like you have low poly versions of like textures and stuff in the distance where you can't see them as you approach. It's used extensively in open world games. As you approach, the more detail comes through.
Yeah,
it's why if you think in old PC games, one of the first things, if your computer was chugging a bit, is the first thing you drop down is your view distance, because that effectively,
it's incredibly synonymous. Sorry, Chris, you go.
That's all right. I was just going to keep talking about the Crash Bandicoot video, because that when Richie's saying there, cutting back, it's been around for years. I think they were one of the pioneers. I think they had a few patents actually on it. And they actually say they go into the PlayStation's menu system, and the menus that aren't being used, they use the internal memory from the actual the hardwired PlayStation. So they essentially hacked into it. Well, said, well, you're not using these menus at this moment in time. They stripped them out and put Crash Bandicoot data into the PlayStation memory just to scrape that every little like bit of memory that could like process. And it's mind blowing. The way the guy explains it in the video is so great. And I think Unreal did a fantastic job at breaking down the lumens and the nanites. And the actual demo itself is called Lumen in the Land of the Nanite. which is such a cool name, even though it's referring to their
I
own
want to
system.
play this game.
Yeah, I'd play this.
Following on from Richie's point before about the way that you have like those low poly objects in the distance, the Unreal Engine is very synonymous with this idea that when you've loaded up a game, you've seen it before in any Unreal games where it loads a low poly model and you can see the textures literally loading onto the character. More recently for you guys, you will have noticed when you first boot up PUBG, you see your character appear at the very start of the PUBG title screen before you even get into a game, and you can see like the textures just build up. Same with Gears of War. But with that's just something that has been synonymous with the Unreal Engine. But I just can't wait to see what comes with this for next gen. This is really next gen.
There's one thing I want to touch on that I've just seen. Towards the end of the video, the character starts going through this like gliding section. It's very fast paced and stuff. But it's when they touch ground, it feels like they're really touching ground. The slight camera tweaks. That was something that just jumped out at me. That was absolutely stunning. Like,
good spot.
You don't really see it that well done, to be honest.
Yeah, it's attention to detail, and
the
part during the showcase where they break out the drone essentially, even though we don't know what time zone we're in, even though it's a land of the nanites, they just pop out the drone at any point and they zoom into such credible detail. That's, I think for me, that is what next gen's about. It's about really, really detailed showcase. It just looks gorgeous. I mean, the video will be playing below me right now in the edit, so you can watch along and you can check it out. Anyone who listens at home, head over to YouTube, check it out. They break it down into the different light modes, so you can actually see all the triangles in the cave as well. And it's just astonishing how like far games came from your flat geometric shapes to it's like so close to photorealism. Like, at what point are we just playing a movie?
I'm guessing the plan was to have this play because it's meant to be a playable demo. I'm guessing that was meant to be at GDC for the game developers to get their hands on this tech demo and go, oh, next project, we're using that.
It's exciting stuff, and Epic have been fantastic. They did come out with a few other points this week about stating the actual engine itself. I believe it's open source. They have, what else did they say? They said something about the first 50 grand.
Yeah, they've changed the pricing structure for it.
They get to keep as well. The royalties are waived for the first $1 million of in-game revenue. So Epic are really using their money to put their stamp on the games industry. And as much as you may criticize them and hate them for that, the amount they're reinvesting back in from their many, many millions, and they're being they're essentially creating competition. We've seen it with the Epic on Steam. Yeah, it's great.
They're using the money as well. Yeah, they're using the money from Fortnite to effectively go, and this will make Unreal 5 so appealing to indie developers because it means for the first however much it was, 100 grand or something, that's all profit for the developer to cover their costs, and that's what then you split later. And I think it's even the ratio of the split is more favourable towards developers.
Yeah. It's rocking the boat with Steam and other online stores right now because they're giving more money back to people who publish their games on their storefront. And if you're a businessman or you've made an indie title yourself, why wouldn't you switch across to that? It's so exciting. The flying element kind of caught me off guard. I really did think it was just like a Tomb Raider-esque Uncharted kind of style. At the end, it's like, and now we're flying, and it really did showcase like the rendering capability of how quick the detail was coming out here.
I think that was important. Well, like it kind of all in terms of the game, they probably have to rework that so it made sense. But in terms of a tech demo, it's like you're showing like up close at how great the textures and light and stuff. Then they go, okay, now we're gonna go change it, go as fast paced as we possibly can go.
Yeah,
and you see actually as she lands, sometimes she almost bounces a bit as she touches ground.
Yeah,
like the little details are phenomenal.
I did laugh. Some of the criticism of the comments I've seen is they've had to come out already and say the scene when she goes through the little crevice in the wall, like very Tomb Raider Uncharted-esque. People have said that was a loading screen to mask the thing in the future, and they said, no, we were just trying to showcase the detail. That's why we've gone really close. We're trying to tech demo to showcase detail.
I don't care if it is a loading screen. You have to. All games have loading screens. They're just getting better at hiding them.
Yeah, I think God of War is a phenomenal example of that.
What's your take on the part of the trailer as well, where they go into such detail about the statue that she finds within the temple? It's just such a beautiful, beautiful statue in terms of the level of detail. She opens up the giant wheel to let the light into the room, and suddenly there's like 200 other bloody statues exactly the same in there with exactly the same quality of detail, and you just think, wow, like I said before, I only said a snippet of it, but this is the kind of thing that really makes me feel like this is next gen now. It's not about like trying to push graphics further, in my opinion. It's more about the level of detail that they can add to it. They're not trying to make it hyper realistic to an extent, but it's more about focusing on finite detail, like finer details, which I think is what this is all about, really.
Yeah, it just shows how well the engine is probably built and balanced, and how well it uses resources available. Because this is done in engine, recorded in engine on PlayStation 5. That's something to put out there. So this isn't a pre-generated like video. It was basically probably someone sat there with a controller in hand, playing through this, recording.
Yeah, I think that was the key message. Was it was recorded all in engine, which it's mind blowing. And then
not just in engine on the console.
Yeah,
so not using a massive like Google Stadia style server to record this. They're using the PlayStation 5, which you have.
Yeah, the actual hardware.
House. Yeah.
Yeah, and that has me super excited going forward, like with like the processing power and how that ties in with Stadia, and that it is iterative and they can just build on it over time. And even though obviously the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 are going to be inevitable powerhouses, there's more and more leaks coming out this week of like developers and creators saying that it's a machine, it's an absolute beast of a machine. I think this week I said it was going to push PC hardware on leaps and bounds as well because of how good it's all tied up nicely and packaged together. For Stadia, obviously, that's going to be just iterative over time. It's going to get better and better. So as the upcoming consoles do start to age, things like Unreal Engine 5 really start to step into their stride, Stadia can just get better and better and better. So when these consoles are now then looking at their second iteration, so a PS5 Pro or a Series, whatever Xbox do with their naming convention, Stadia will still be there. The same Stadia we signed up to last November, we're just going to be able to play it with no extra investment, no new hardware, no fan engines flipping out because Unreal Engine 5 is ripping it apart from the inside.
Oh God, that was the worst thing when I was playing Jedi Fallen Order. Was the fan of my PlayStation.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff, and it's again, it's that concept we really need to drive home with Stadia. Is like we've invested all we need at this stage to play these games as we go forward into the late 2020s. We're already up to scratch.
Yeah,
phenomenal stuff. I'm excited to see what Unreal and Epic bring to the table, and if we ever do get to see that demo, I'd imagine the like with so many millions and the feedback of people saying I want to play this game. Is there not someone at Epic who just goes, yeah, just siphon off a couple of million from our Scrooge McDuck money vault and just say, just make it?
Do you know what? It's happened before. It's happened before. The Final Fantasy VII Remake came out of a PS3 tech demo. Like, it was the Final Fantasy VII Remake was born as a PS3 tech demo. So
I think publishers are now wary of that effect now. Don't use existing IP to tech demo, because same thing. There was Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. There was massive controversy over that because of the art style, because they did a tech demo of the more like Twilight Princess style for the GameCube. So when people got Wind Waker, it wasn't what they were expecting. So you just don't use existing IP for tech demos unless it's clearly just a tech demo.
Yeah, it says a lot to the team who worked on it and brought it together and obviously theorized the location, the character design, everything like that, because I was a ton more excited for that than anything we saw at the Xbox third-party content. I'll be honest. I know we spoke about it last week and all the games that cropped up there from very different companies, but like that 100% more appeals to me than like something like Dirt 5 did, or some of the little indie games that we saw. So it's a shame that it'll just stay there as a tech demo, and we'll never really get any more.
They've made brown interesting, because the game's very brown, very beige from what we've seen, and it looks gorgeous. Usually they're the parts of games that I find most dull.
But when the brown's so detailed, Richie,
that's my point. That's
the secret sauce. That's the secret sauce. But hopefully they will take that tech demo and they'll transform it into a fantastic new and exciting game. I'd love to see that in the future. Epic branch away from Fortnite a little bit and use their many millions to reinvest, as we've seen them do so far. In terms of investing in games and new exciting upcoming titles that are on the horizon, our second story for the week is Ubisoft made another announcement. I mentioned it at the top of the show. We're being hit thick and fast with these brand new digital showcases that are just... It's hard to keep up. We're going to need a scheduled calendar, gents, to keep us on track of what day we need to drag ourselves out of bed and actually do some kind of reaction to this news.
Probably just start using the Sounds of Stadia Gmail calendar.
We'll need to do something because I've seen Eddie react to some of it against Stadia Player One with our friend Chase over there as well. They've been reacting to some of the Game Fest news. And one of the other announcements we've got picked up on this week was from our favourable team over at Ubisoft. They've announced they're going to be presenting a Ubisoft Forward, is the title, which is an entirely digital showcase event. It's going to take place on the 12th of July. It promises exclusive game news, reveals, and more. So I want us to theorize, gentlemen.
Okay.
What are Ubisoft going to bring to the table in July?
I don't know, because at the moment it feels like everyone and their mother's currently organising an event for this summer.
I'm planning one for us.
It's because E3 doesn't exist. Everyone who would have had stuff at E3, because bear in mind, not every developer who is there is actually doing a massive press conference. A lot of them are just on the floor.
Yeah, there's a lot of collaborations. There's a lot of collaborations from indie teams and so on, bringing together their own little events, and it just feels like, I don't know whether I'm at first I was very excited for all of this, and I'm still quite, in anticipation, ready to see what gets announced. But I'm starting to feel like I don't know where to direct my attention.
There's too many people trying to gain your attention, where the nice thing about E3 is you had it all in one place.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I can see if things keep going the way they are going into next year, I can see something like one of all the 8 million different things coming out, I can see probably shrinking down to one or two, just because it's just splitting your audience and you don't know where to look at the moment.
Yeah, the biggest thing is certainly, I think, E3's lack of turnaround with this one. Like, the company who runs E3, they knew before that E3 was going to be cancelled before anyone else, right? It was there. It was there. Like, again, rightly so, they cancelled it. It was never going to go. If we look back in hindsight, it was never going to go ahead. And they cancelled it, as they should have done, based on the current events that are going on. In terms of how they reacted to it, though, they've done probably the worst job imaginable of trying to keep their ducks in line, essentially, because, like you said, Richie, every man, every department, every company, every division of the game industry now has gone, right, E3's off, what are we doing? And they've gone and done their own thing because it's probably more cost effective. But E3 have really missed the boat on keeping everyone reined in, said, no, guys, the physical event isn't taking place. We're going to still be hosting a digital event. And before they had a chance to do that, IGN jumped in there, Jeff Keighley jumped in there. Everyone's done their own. Xbox have done their own standalone. We're going to get PlayStation 5 stuff. Nintendo have been doing their Indies things. And it's, before they even knew it, they've been steamrolled. And the repercussions on that E3 existing in any way, physical shape or form in the future, I think is at high risk right now. If all these digital events are successful,
E3 as we know it over the last few years, I think is at high risk. I think E3 will still be a thing.
Yeah,
because there's a massive floor presence. They make a lot of the money. Imagine the ESRB make a lot of their money that keeps them funding throughout the year for everything else they do happens at E3. However, they'll probably have to look at what E3 is going to be. Is it going to be completely a fan convention where fans and developers can intermix? Well, that's the way it's been going for a while, so maybe that is what it is.
Yeah, I just think when they look back at all the analytics, so Ubisoft is a case in point. If they look back going into next summer when the world's returned to normal and they think, right, E3 have reached out to us, they said they're doing the traditional event. Ubisoft usually go really good with partnering up with different platforms and showcasing it. Are they going to not look back and just think, guys, we saved a good $500,000 on just doing our own digital event last year, and what benefit will we get from this Comic-Con, not Comic-Con, a convention presence? I don't know. I just think I can say E3's been becoming less and less, and we've spoke on previous shows about Gamescom being the place to be, and it's a very interesting 10 events, but I really think E3 messed up this time around.
It's been a slow burn actually with E3. You've got things like Nintendo switch to just doing a big direct, which I think that's where most companies will probably go forward now. like because that's been fine for Nintendo over the years. And then they can also you can put it on the stage at E3. We might even have a guy doing a Q&A, but we're also going to push it through our own channels at the same time. Sony have pulled out. Microsoft usually hang out over the road, don't they? EA hang out nearby. Like these are big publishers who don't near E3, but not really there anymore.
Well, let's have a look at the list of events that are currently scheduled. We've got Summer Game Festival, which is going on at the moment for an extended period of time. We've got Sony State of Play, that's going on. Inside Xbox. We've got EA Play. We've got the Cyberpunk 2077 stream, which is called Night City Wire. That's coming. We've got the Ubisoft Forward, and we've got Gamescom Digital.
And
plus
probably
many more.
There's probably, I'd imagine this. Yeah,
we know the Stadia Connect's coming. They did say summer, so that as well.
It's June, I think.
Oh, well, rumored for June.
One of our friends over at Club Stadia said June 6th, I think, yesterday. He announced.
It's an unverified source at the moment, but
it's in the summer, so somewhere around there. It'll be here before autumn anyway.
June the 9th, it's rumored to be.
Oh, is it 9th? And then we've obviously Sony are going to come to the table with all the next gen stuff. So it's a busy summer, and a lot of stuff's going to be lost in the mix. But in terms of Ubisoft's presentation in particular, we're probably going to see a lot more of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I'd imagine they're going to want to get some gameplay out there after last week.
Oh God, yes.
That they're definitely going to have to be very particular about what I like in their announcement. They actually said exclusive game news reveals and more. Do we think the and more was replacing the word gameplay this time around?
I think the and more. Was the and more referencing just Assassin's Creed Valhalla, or was it?
No. This is in the tweet that said for the event, save the date, July 12th, Ubisoft Forward, and they ended it with said reveals and more.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla would be a perfect and here's one more thing sort of game to end your traditional conference.
Out now.
The fact that they've the fact that they've mentioned this already means they've probably got something else in the works.
Well, I just want to see more of Gods and Monsters. Like, I really want to see more of it. I want to know more about it when we're actually going to expect it now. I just want to. I think it's got to be in a position at this point where we have got demos being released and we've got a lot more gameplay that we can get our hands on. Just something like that, really.
Actually, I'm with you with that because I forgot it existed.
Yeah, you didn't know about it. I remember on the show specifically when I mentioned it, Richie, you brought the video up live in the episode and watched it. It was like, oh yeah, it's like Breath of the Wild meets Assassin's Creed, kind of like very Ubisoft-esque.
I only remembered it existed this morning when I was reading up through these articles.
And it looks fantastic,
it needs to get that mind share. It needs to get people. It's not locked into people's heads, I don't think, at the moment.
Yeah. Well, the reality is we should be playing Gods and Monsters right now because that was scheduled for February, if I remember. Watch Dogs Legion should have been out as well. Cyberpunk should have been here. Obviously, not Ubisoft.
Skull and Bones has been delayed a few times, hasn't it?
No, yeah. Skull and Bones is one of them that I think they've took that back to the drawing board. Like, it's one of those games where I'm hoping they're doing what I want them to do, which is when Black Flag was so fun, we all played Assassin's Creed Black Flag back in the day. I think all of us thought, why is this an Assassin's Creed game and why is it not just a pirate game? Like, I would happily have Ubisoft create an entire different series that was just about pirating with a story and with
in
similar
the same
elements.
World. Yeah, you could. I could easily set in the same world. Just tell a story that isn't Assassins versus Templar.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be that.
Yeah, it's Pirates Creed.
And I'm hoping their feedback. They've took Skull and Bones, and the reason they've gone quiet is they took on board all of that criticisms and thought, you know what? Especially because Sea of Thieves is out on Xbox now. I don't know if they think, oh well, we've seen how Sea of Thieves has fared. How are we any different? Are we gonna be taking a hit on this? And I hope they've gone back to the drawing board and they come back with a great pirate-driven campaign. That'd be so exciting.
With the main character,
really the fires for me of being interested in it.
Main character's called Smedwood Smedway.
I'm going to tinfoil hat on now. I'm going to throw out a prediction. I think Skull and Bones is redundant. I think they've scrapped it. I think a lot of the work for Skull and Bones might now appear in Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Interesting.
Ooh. Bear in mind, Skull and Bones is very piratey, and Valhalla is set in basically the North Sea, Scandinavia, the UK.
You are a bold one.
There's a lot of ideas that will probably cross over there.
I mean, the great thing with Ubisoft teams is they collaborate across the board. Like, they've got so many studios across the globe. It's no surprise that they can pull all these strings and share elements and stuff from their game design. I don't think they've scrapped it. I don't think that's in Ubisoft's best interest. I think they'd get more criticism than it was worth just shipping it out half-baked. And be like, look, there's our game. We'll do what we did with Rainbow Six Siege, and we'll just iterate on it. We'll
it might have just it might not have necessarily been scrapped. It might have just developed into an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, it's been absorbed.
Maybe when they were pitching ideas for the next Assassin's Creed game, they like pitched a lot of ideas and went, actually, that's Skull and Bones. We can just move that into Assassin's Creed.
So what are you landing on, Richie? Has it been scrapped or has it turned into Valhalla?
I think they're both one and the same. As I said, I think I don't think we'll have a game called Skull and Bones. So in a sense, it's been scrapped, but I think a lot of the things from that will now be in Valhalla.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Interesting. I don't think they will. I don't think it's in Ubisoft's best interest to suddenly scrap it, because I think there will be some people excited for it. And I think it's probably that far in development now. They would have had to say something at the board meeting.
That's where I've got doubts that they probably would have mentioned it.
Yeah, your investors are going to want. Yeah, your investors are going to want to know back in March, April time why this game isn't out. But more importantly, if you've sacked it off, you probably should be letting the people with invested money in your business to know about it. But yeah, Gods and Monsters, super huge, Skull and Bones. Hoping to see a date for Watch Dogs Legion.
I was going to say that's definitely something I want to know more about now.
That should be wrapped up and finished with a bow on top right now.
Definitely.
The thing is, if it isn't, now we're at a point where these games that have been delayed towards the end of this year are now going to realistically have to be cross-generation games where they might not have been planned to originally.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they have been working on. Once they decided to push them back and they knew next gen was coming at the later half of this year, Ubisoft have always traditionally been great with the leap over next gen. I know Black Flag in particular was one of those games that was, you could get it on PS3, Xbox, and Series, what was it? Xbox One and PS4. It was one of my first games that I bought this gen with PlayStation 4, and I'm excited to see what they do with it. Will Valhalla be cross-gen? I did reach out to Ubisoft actually in regards to we spoke about before, the collector's editions of Assassin's Creed, because they've got different variations. It's up for pre-order now, but you can't pre-order next gen. Mm-hmm. So because they don't have a date for it, so then that bodes the question: do I buy it on current gen and buy it again later on? Because they've not been very forthcoming with the whole smart delivery going forward theory, which is why Stadia is the safe bet to play it on, because you can buy it and you just own it, the best version going forward.
But if you like the collector stuff,
I want to know which version I can order, and do I order the PS4 and kind of change it later date? Do I just get it on Stadia and hang fire? Do I buy the statue standalone? It's a lot of theories, and I think we need these answers. So hopefully the exclusive game news reveals and more is just detail. I'd be happy with just dates, locations, updates on how the progress of the game's coming along, some season pass DLC stuff for other games like Rainbow Six Siege and The Division. Or just, keep us informed, Ubisoft. Keep us informed.
I have information on Skull and Bones before we move on, actually. In October 2019, the Ubisoft CEO, Yves Guillemot, confirmed that the game has been pushed back to at least the April 2021, March 2020 fiscal year.
Which is now.
So at the earliest,
we're seeing it.
Yeah. No, that's next fiscal year. We're currently in the April 2020 to March 2021.
Oh, okay. I misheard then. Sorry. I misheard.
So at the earliest we'll see this is April next year.
Okay. One other title, Chris, that I'm really excited to find more about. Rainbow Six Quarantine.
Oh, the name alone does not bring back great feelings right now.
Not right now.
Rainbow Six, go out and play with your friends. Rainbow Six, fresh air.
Rainbow Six, stay home, protect the NHS, save lives. Sorry, no, it's changed now.
It might do well in search algorithms right now.
Well, yeah, that is very true. So good point, Tom. Rainbow Six Quarantine. Do we think they're going to stick with that name?
I think it's unfortunate timing, but I think they go with it. I think, unless they change it to, do they go like the Resident Evil route, and do they go like Rainbow Six Outbreak? But then does that have bad connotations with it? You're talking like zombie infestation, and usually you have terms that come with that. It's synonymous with it, isn't it? Outbreak, quarantine.
I don't really know how damaging this would actually be, to be honest.
My worry.
I think it's different when it's like something that's happened because of man's intervention with, like a terrorist action or something, compared to when it's more of a naturally occurring thing like COVID-19. Well, there's no one to blame for COVID-19 existing, but...
Well, it depends who you speak to, Richie. Depends what news reports you read.
Oh, man.
But anyway, yes, aside from that, they could just go all balls deep on it and call it Rainbow Six COVID-19. That would get their search algorithms right up there as well. I'm excited to see
the Rainbow Six tag is enough to give it the legs.
Well, yeah, it is a new game. Obviously, it's got that kind of more horde mode to strike. I'm excited by it. It's like, Richie, we spoke before. We've played Rainbow Six Siege quite extensively in the past, and we've had a great time with it. And I think a lot of the community out there, I know our friend Chase is looking forward to playing some Siege. She's played a lot of hours on that before. It's going to be great for just us getting on screen share and such. It's going to be fantastic for that.
I want that on the stage,
and I think it will. And I think part of Ubisoft plans, along with new games, you'd hope, is going to be an update on Uplay Plus as well, because they're starting to ramp up now. So hopefully we're going to see some more games come to Stadia, coinciding with Uplay Plus announcement and these new titles. I'd be interested to know if they ever went free to play with it, because Siege has done so well, and that's pretty much free to play anyway now, if I'm not mistaken. I'd be interested to know if they're worried about the risk of the name title having an impact. Just bring it out free and just say it's there for everyone to play.
It could be a good
build on
game.
it. Yeah, build on it on a yearly iterative process like they've done with Siege.
Stuff like this, I always think are good for pro games, because everyone who's got the pro subscription gets the game day one, month one. You get your audience there. I'm guessing this is going to have a lot of cosmetic stuff with purchase, so they'll make the money from that side rather than the game sales. But then you're building, but it's going to, these sort of games live or die based on the user, how many players they've got playing it. So you want to get as many people in early as you can to get that strong launch.
Yeah.
And then even if there is like, there's a price later, if after 1 month it goes to normal pricing, if there's a good community already there.
Certainly. So moving on then to our next story. In at number 4, we've got the PGA Tour 2K21, new game coming out to Google Stadia. Earlier on, gentlemen, when I was editing the doc, you may have noticed I made a point of keeping this PGA Tour story in at number 4. There was a distinct reason for that, and that's because I planned that joke well ahead of time.
Oh my God.
So anyway, let's tee off and get into this next story. We've got PGA Tour 2K21 coming to Stadia August 21st. Another game, another sports game, another annualized. Is it annualized title?
It's got 2K21. Right? It's got to be.
Which I'm not clued in on golf. For anyone out there who's a massive golf fan, I've heard it's super relaxing. The problem with being, in my opinion, being 6'3" is the brain to the ball on the floor ratio in that motion doesn't really translate.
You could say that for any sport, though.
No, it's such a small polygonal ball, Richie, down on the floor.
It's so far away you can't see the ball.
So I understand it's there. I got it, but then there's something in the motion of bringing the arm back for the swing. It just doesn't. But crazy golf, I'm great at. You know that, Richie.
Yeah,
but in terms of PGA Tour 2K21, are we excited by this, gents? Is it not in our wheelhouse? Obviously, it's great that this game's coming to Stadia, but will we be picking it up? I don't know how you are with golf, Tom.
I like big putts, and I cannot lie. I do enjoy a good...
No. Like, time them out, Chris. Time them out.
I do enjoy a bit of golf every once in a while. I do hit up the driving range. I have a bit of fun with it. I like my pitch and putt. I'm not much of an 18. Yeah, I'm not much of an 18-hole kind of guy. That being said, I haven't played a golf game on anything probably since I was about 10 years old. Will I? Probably. Again, this is probably going to be one of the games that sits along the wayside for me, I'm afraid. But if they do ultimately bring the price down, then better late than never. I could always just wait around and just. I'm sorry, I'm going to throw all these shit ones out for you today.
Yeah,
I'm just going to throw sand trap for this.
Yeah, my knowledge of golf basically stems from Happy Gilmore. That's about my extent of knowledge. Shooter McGavin, you eat shit for breakfast. That's about it. So for this game, yes, I wouldn't be picking it up. However, one of the things that would make me pick it up is if it dropped to a sweet price of £2.40, which another 2K21 game did this week.
No,
NBA 2K, which again is another sport I'm not that vested in. I know a little bit more about it, I think, than golf. Again, being quite tall, it always helps your interests when you can actually hit the basket or grab onto the
when
hoop.
you're playing in PE in school, when you're actually better than other people because you can reach the fucking hoop.
that definitely does help. But obviously, yes, this week we saw some additional pro deals drop in line with some new game announcements. And one of them, to our surprise, was NBA 2K20, £2.40, gentlemen. We all bought it, right?
Yes. Why wouldn't you?
£2.40. Now, weirdly enough, this did not translate across the Atlantic to the States, where basketball is immensely more popular than it is over in the UK and Europe. A weird one, right? We thought it was a mistake at first. It was picked up by the Stadia Twitter. One of them actually acknowledged it was a mistake with Duncan, was
Duncan
it not?
queried it. Someone acknowledged that it was a mistake, but then it turns out it wasn't.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where I suppose
it kind of was a mistake, and then they went, "Oh shit, we've said it now. You've got to go with it."
The whole world's burning around them, and they just think, "Oh, we're going to have to go with it." You know, we fucked up, boys. We fucked up. We're sorry. Just go with it. It'd
be interesting to know the actual truth. Was it a mistake, and is it now Google just paying up the arse from this to make a difference for 2K?
Like, that's such an interesting price. Like, even if it was at a tenner, like £10, that would be like okay. But £2.40 for a game that only came out in the last year, that is essentially a AAA sports game from a big developer. Yeah, you can pick it up for the cost of a couple of Freddos in this case.
I think you've got to look at the knock-on effect
of that. It's cheaper than a Starbucks coffee.
That is true. That is true. Yeah. But you've got to look at the knock-on effect of that. We have to kind of like ascertain, was it a problem with Stadia? Was it actually a mistake? Because now on Xbox and PlayStation Store, the price has been dropped there as well for this title. Now, is that because it's a knock-on effect of this cock-up? Or was it actually the plan all along? Because on those platforms, the game hasn't dropped to as low as £2.40. I think it's currently at £3.50. But it has been dropped dramatically again. So it raises more questions there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it does say a lot when looking at other games that also came out this week, we got Doom 64 finally arrive, and that's currently sitting at $3.99
or free if you bought Doom Eternal already.
Yep, free if you pre-ordered back in the day.
That's cheaper than I expected it, by the way.
Yeah,
I knew it was coming, but I thought it was going to be over £5.
Doom 64 $3.99 or NBA 2K at £2.40. Whereas like when we talk back to Assassin's Creed Odyssey about value for money, that's an old game.
I think you do.
Like, I'm sure it's super fun, but in terms of like development time and costs and graphic quality, and it baffles how I'm pretty sure people just throw shit at a wall and see what sticks sometimes with this pricing.
Well,
because
I've bought an NBA 2K20 because of the price, so it's like, why not give it a go for that?
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, I play less than 2 hours and get a refund.
Yeah. Now, a big element of this, which we do have to factor in and consider, is that people who are trialing that 2-month free pro deal from last month are still on the bandwagon now. So is this, again, another smart tactic to think we'll take a loss on the costing now, but these people who are going to buy the game are going to stick with Stadia because they're building up this massive library. Just look at the pro deals, man. And then it just makes you think that if you've joined Stadia and thought, oh, look at all these great prices, I'll buy that. I'll test that out. Oh, I've got that free program. Oh, there's another pro game. Oh, there's some more discounts. This Stadia thing's not half bad, you know. It works. I've got another month free. I'm going to get some new pro games in, another just under 2 weeks. It's a really clever pull to build that library up so much that come the cutoff point when they go, look, are you with Stadia or you're not with Stadia? Surely a lot of us as gamers and consumers, we're in a consumer society where we spend. We like treating ourselves. We're used to subscription models. It must help with people's decision making to just go, you know what, I'm just going to keep it.
Yeah.
And there we go.
Well, you look at the how much the sale is. Looking at the Legend Edition for NBA 2K20, it's currently £21. That's down from $69.99. You're saving almost £50 on this pro sale. You're saving the price of a game.
It's insane. And obviously the deluxe editions and stuff are also on offer, along with some
downloads
of the deals. No downloads. You could play it, test it out, refund it in the time it would take you to download the game on another platform.
You don't have to go through and delete games off your hard drive because you haven't got space.
Very true.
Yeah, we also saw some pro deals centered around Mortal Kombat 11, so just in time for the DLC with RoboCop and Terminator dropping. The Crew 2 saw another pro discount deal as well. We've played a little bit of that. And then there was a bunch of other non-pro deals, which was nice to see around the same games. So again, Stadia coming at us thick and fast with these deals. No doubt we'll probably get some more later this week.
I'm going to give someone a pro tip right now. If you're looking at NBA 2K20, the non-pro deal sale is currently at £20. Pay for a month's subscription, get it for £3, and then just cancel your subscription if you're not interested in it.
You don't need to pay for subscription because you can still get on the 2-month free, can you? Starting now.
You should be in the 2-month free period, but
yeah, pick it up, buy all the cheap deals, and then keep them ticking over.
Which makes you wonder, why is the non-pro deal sales at all?
Again, I think it's just to tempt people.
Quite possibly.
You're going to look at it and go, well, why would I pay £20 when I can just try out this free trial and get it for £2.40? It's more of a marketing tactic to push people towards the other pro deals.
But didn't it auto activate the 2 months for everyone who's got Stadia? So there shouldn't be anyone on Stadia right now who doesn't have the pro subscription. So it's not really going to entice people to go for the pro subscription.
What about them Buddy Pass people?
Yeah, I think it did.
My Buddy Pass is gone, actually. My extra Buddy Pass is gone from my account.
Ooh.
I can't send it out. I wonder if it comes back after this 2 months period or something, but I know the little icon you had in the app to stop there anymore.
Breaking news right there, ladies and gentlemen. The Buddy Pass is gone. Stadia have stolen the Buddy Pass, but no, I'm joking. We won't go down that clickbait route. That's the title, Tom, for the episode. Stadia steals Buddy Pass back. Plaster it on the main screen. I want a picture of a burglar. I want a picture of a bag of money.
In like a white and black stripy thing with like a mask and carrying a dollar bag.
Yeah. I want
running away from me.
I want Phil Harrison escaping from jail. I want us three running away from them, chasing them with our police batons.
Oh no!
Get to work on that graphic, Tom.
That's my Sunday afternoon out the window.
Yeah, definitely. Set it in the gangster time as well. We've got police sirens going on those 1930s, 40s cars. Set in San Francisco, the Mafia is rife. And if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm slowly leaning in towards our last story of the week, which is the Mafia Trilogy was also announced coming to Stadia. I'm really excited for this one, gentlemen, because me and Richie spoke to our friend Tommy at Stadia Arcadia yesterday on our live stream. And he really helped build the hype for it because I've never played a Mafia game before. It was one of those franchises that just passed me by. And here we are, the prospect of getting a fully remastered trilogy from the ground up. Some of the stuff I've seen on YouTube and some of the comparison differences between the original one and the remake, it very much brings it up to a modern game standard. And from what I've heard, 1 and 2 are fantastic games that just passed me by. So what's your history with them? Are you excited by this announcement?
I am.
My history is exactly the same as yours. Tommy did say Mafia 3 is a little bit different to the other two, and he said he preferred 1 and 2. But
I'm in the same boat with you, gents.
I wouldn't say I'm excited, but I'm intrigued.
So none of us have played them before?
No.
Interesting. Could make for a potential stream of some sort. Never have I ever played Mafia 3 or got my Buddy Pass back. something along those lines. But what it does really create is another good sense that 2K are supporting Stadia. So we've got all the sports games stuff coming, and then Mafia Trilogy really just highlights that again. There's another developer that is now starting to really back Stadia with some.
Do you think this will be priced at £2.40?
Maybe not.
No, see, that might actually make me buy it because I feel like I'm probably not going to give it a chance at the moment because I've got a bit of a backlog I want to take care of. Like I haven't even bought Final Fantasy 7 yet, and that's definitely on my wish list. So I think I've got just too many games to get through at the moment that I'm probably going to give it a pass. Unfortunately, unless it comes out and unless it's a pro game or comes out in a decent sale that makes me worth like buying it to rack up for later. But
yeah, interestingly enough, though, we had that classic Stadia advertisement back and forth where the Mafia Trilogy was announced. The Stadia logo did not appear on the distribution video, but thankfully the United Kingdom's Twitter did feature it. So again, it's this weird mixed marketing thing where you've got to imagine the powers that be who deal with all these third-party conversations. Like when they pull these videos together and they copy and paste in the Xbox logo, the Steam logo and such, is there not a tick box that they just have to go, oh, there's Nintendo. That surely Stadia is part of that generic checklist.
Yeah.
Who's looking at that in two different departments for the exact same video and going, right, it's on the global one, but it's not on that. Oh, the UK team have got it, but like, how is it not just one video uploaded
Chris,
to a
It takes me back to a conversation I had with a friend of mine who lives in California, and her sister works for Google. Okay. And when I mentioned Google Stadia to them, her sister said, "Oh, what is that?" It's once again, it's like this thing that's there are people in the world that still do not know what Stadia is.
You think someone working for? I can imagine, like, if I'm like working at Google and I'm running a team, I'm working the Stadia team, I'm sending a memo out to all like the department heads and going, brief your team. He's the info that you need on Stadia. Brief your teams on this. So everyone in Google should know the basics of what Stadia is about.
So my point was that basically maybe issues like this come down from the fact that there are still people out there who don't know about it, who are stupidly in the industry. That seems like a big faux pas to me if they don't know that their game is coming to Stadia, for example.
It really does showcase just how much work is still needed to be done to get the marketing and the general public's mindset switched towards it. I know I joked a few months back now when the industry that I work in with mobile phones, some of the Google people I spoke to who go around and talk about the Pixel range essentially didn't know about Stadia then. They'd heard of it, but they didn't have any more info other than the name. And that's someone who's now pushing Stadia, which is obviously was at the time the exclusive place to play portably on.
This is why I'm saying, like, all the different branches of Google, their heads of departments should be brief when there's a new product launch from Google. How hard it is to get on your weekly team meeting or whatever to go, okay, one more team, Google, the company's launching this new product, Google Stadia. Here's a basic rundown. Now everyone's in the company's informed. Yeah, I don't think that's a difficult task to pull off. And at the moment, Google just seems a bit, with Stadia, seems a bit disjointed.
Yeah, and again, they're all new to it. So I think what it takes is just someone needs to write into them and give them their theories, their suggestions and topics. Just like two of our Patreon supporters did this week. We've got Ben, once again, writes in with a fantastic question. He's asking us, gentlemen, from patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia. What next-gen console do you plan on buying to sit alongside Stadia, or do you plan on going full-in Stadia exclusive? Mine is a no dilemma. I'll just answer that straight away. I'm going to get the PlayStation 5. It's again the exclusives they currently have, hands down, make it worthwhile buying regardless. Still going to be playing Stadia. Still going to be buying plenty of games on Stadia, but there's some fantastic exclusives that will be in the pipeline for that console that I do not want to pass up on.
Yeah, where I'm at with it is similar to you, where I actually want Stadia to become my main device, the main platform I'm playing on. But Sony have some of my favorite games of the last decade are all bound to Sony or have been, even with things like Horizon now coming to PC and stuff. For years, that was a Sony exclusive title. And these are games I don't want to pass. I'm not going to buy a PlayStation 5 day one, because what I found with the PlayStation 4, by waiting a year and a half, 2 years, there's so many great games that you can pick up from Amazon for basically half price. So by being patient with a lot of stuff, you can save yourself a hell of a lot of money.
I think I'm along the same sort of
stuff. You can get on Stadia.
I'm along the same sort of lines as Richie, really. I'm not sold on purchasing day one yet, even though I was a day one PS4 and day one PS3. But I'm sort of in this weird position at the moment where outside of all of this, I'm looking to buy a house at the moment. So obviously priorities in real life. So I really sort of have to wait and see what's going to happen next, because it needs to be something really captivating for me at launch in order to get me to invest in it. Otherwise, I'm probably going to give it 6 months to a year before actually getting into that. But for now, definitely sticking with Stadia. I don't even touch my PS4 anymore. I don't even touch it. Like, I load it up to play Jackbox party games with my family, and that's it. Like the last time I played it was FF7 Remake. But you know, as soon as we start seeing some of these bigger titles coming to Stadia, then that's sort of going to be the linchpin for me. It's definitely my main system, but the PS5 is the likely one if I'm going to pick a next-gen console to go alongside it.
Yeah, I think I'm similar place with my PS4, although I can see in the next few months getting a lot of usage, because as I think the next thing I'm going to jump into as soon as I finish Assassin's Creed is probably Final Fantasy. So that's going to be a long time playing on the PlayStation. And then we're getting on towards The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've just got my platinum for The Last of Us.
Yeah. Oh, you got it?
Well done.
Last night, yeah. Got it last night. The early hours of the morning. Finally did it. So that's, platinum on PS3, platinum on PS2. PS2. PS2.
Wow.
The Last of Us 2 is going out for, So right in time, I finished the story. Fantastic game. And again, that's one of the exclusives that I'm talking about. None of you contemplating picking up the Xbox?
Not really. No.
I don't think Xbox has got any exclusives that interest me.
You know what? You really don't need it.
Title that isn't Halo or Gears
Sea
right
of
now.
Thieves.
Okay.
Moving on.
Ori and the Will of the Wisps. That
admittedly looks cool, but I think you can get that on PC now.
Yeah, so that was going to be my kind of point to that question is I've got the Game Pass PC beta, £3.99 a month. I pay for it, and I have all those games to play on my brand new PC. So although I have been just playing Age of Empires 2, Definitive Edition.
Nice.
The thing is, you could get Steam now, so a lot of the PC stroke Xbox exclusives you could just get on your PC now and just plug a Stadia controller in or a DualShock in.
And that does really highlight, as we move away to the cloud, is Xbox have doubled down on this. Stadia's there. Like, I don't need a console. I can play all the Xbox games on Game Pass. I can play all the third-party games on Stadia. Sony's there for my exclusive titles, which I love from them. I've still got my Switch for all my fantastic Nintendo titles. So the great thing with gaming is you don't need to be... So to kind of wrap up this episode is you don't need to be Stadia-specific. Gaming is for everybody. Enjoy it and play it in any way, shape, or form that you wish to. Kind of leaning into that, then we've also got our friend Luke brings up from Patreon. Again, right saying with not so much a question, but more of a thought that he's had, and he'd like to know our thoughts on developers right now missing a great opportunity with multi-screen gaming on Stadia. So he said something like the GameCube with the Game Boy Advance, or the VMO with the Dreamcast, VMU with the Dreamcast. So really, really good throwbacks. Luke's brought up there.
He's missing a very obvious one, to be honest.
Which one's that?
The Nintendo 3DS.
3DS with the two screens.
It's an entire platform built around having two screens.
That is very true. But what Luke would like to know is in terms of multi-screen gaming, a Stadia missing a great opportunity with having, like, say, the TV and inventory pack or something on your phone via an app. So my answer to Luke when he posed the question was that the big one for me was Red Dead Redemption had the companion app. So again, not quite what he's talking about, but because Stadia can do that whole screen share, multi-screen gaming, it can essentially broadcast the information to any device that has a screen. Are they missing opportunity, or are they just not there yet?
I think the way for me I was thinking about this is I don't think they can actually do it, because part of the philosophy of Stadia is play anywhere on devices you already have. Okay. So if you're playing on your phone, you only have one screen, so you can't hard code a game that requires two screens.
I'm with Richie on this.
Stadia, unfortunately.
I think
as much as I love 3DS, and actually that second screen can be very effective, I just don't think you can do it.
As long as it's non-essential to the actual gameplay itself, then it's always possible through additional apps like the Red Dead Redemption companion app, as he said before. There are tons of Destiny 2 apps that you can literally use to move gear from your characters, even when you are in-game, into storage or to other characters. And it does it seamlessly, like live while you're playing. But it can't be fundamental to it, because that will not work with this system for the reasons Richie said. Like, if you're playing on your phone, how the hell are you supposed to use that for anything else? So as long as it's non-essential, they could do it. But again, I think that's really down to developers. It's not down to Google. It's not down to Stadia at all. That's purely down to the game developers.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does come down to developers, as you say. And most third-party developers are developing for multiple platforms. So they're developing for PlayStation, developing for Xbox, developing for Google. So this is why a lot of the gimmicky stuff on, like, the DualShock controller doesn't get used in third-party games, because the other controllers don't have it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it just boiled down to how much it ruins the immersion potentially. So I know they've said about like touchscreen, like you mentioned there, Richie, features on the DualShock that kind of these people who make the games, they want you to be fully immersed in the game. And I think looking down like for Red Dead Redemption at a companion app for the map, it's great as an idea. It is. I think I used it for all of 10, 20 minutes, and then either my tablet locked out or the screen went off, or I just it's glancing again. Every time you have to look down, it's ruining that immersion that you're doing. Every time we've all started playing Stadia and getting used to the button configuration, how annoying is it that second you have to go, oh, there's X, okay. And it's fractions of a second, but it does take you out of the game. And I think from a developer's standpoint, they don't want to do that.
It works really well on the 3DS because it's hard built into the device you're using. And it's also operating in a different part of the gaming landscape to everything else. It's very much, this is a portable console. I know it's effectively redundant now, but everything that's on the 3DS has effectively been developed for the 3DS.
Mm.
Correct. Yeah. So fantastic. Great theory, Lou. Great question. I'm sure we'll see more iterative creations come out from Stadia with the power that they do back. So remember, if you want to write in with your questions to the show and you want myself, Tom, and Richie to give our answers, our thoughts, our ideas on them, write your questions into patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia. Well, as I mentioned, our tier 1 entry-level supporters group starts at 78 pence or just $1. I noticed, Tom, there you did the 1 for 78 pence. 78 pence.
78 pence.
78 pence. That's how it's symbolised. Thank you, everyone who's tuned in and watched us for episode 34 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. Do not forget to subscribe and follow us over on Twitter for all our news and keeping it locked to our information feeds. We'll be bringing you the PUBG Content Creators Cup on Saturday, the 30th of May. So remember to stay tuned and switched in for that one. And remember, join us in the chat over on Facebook with our Facebook partnership team over at the Google Stadia UK group. The link is in the description below. Thank you for joining us once again this week. Stay safe, wash your hands. My name's been Chris.
I've been Tom.
I've been Richie.
We've been Sounds of Stadia. Have a good week.
May
Bye.
the force be with you.